Well, it's turning. It's turning.
There you go.
Okay, we're on. Hey, everybody. I'm Dana
Hi.
Williams. Hey, and we've got Micah and H here. The trio. We've been together. How long, guys? 18 months? Something
18
like
plus
that.
something, yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
We
I think
kind of,
we're going on 2 years. I
I
think
think
it's
so
closer to
too.
two
I think
years.
it's two.
oh my goodness. You just don't know. You're having so much fun. You forget about it. So
That's right.
we're all here today. We're gonna introduce ourselves and then talk about what our topic is today and some tips that we have to share with you. I'm Dana Williams, and I left corporate almost 2.5 years ago and started Dana Williams Consulting. And I work with leaders and their teams and help them transform from the inside out. I use a tool called Clifton Strengths, which we all three have in common. We also talk about other tools we use. And I'm just honored to work with these two guys. We've had a great time and we've launched a new product that we want to share with you today and talk about the future. So I'm going to kick it off to H and then to Micah.
Thanks, Dana. Hey, I'm H. That's my first initial. What everybody calls me. I left corporate 12 years ago, and I've been on my own, working with brands and leaders to really help them develop their organizations, their brands, and their business.
Yay. Micah.
Micah.
All right. My name is Micah Lawrence. I am the owner of Tailored Consulting. So my company specializes in leadership and team development training, coaching, and consulting. We use the Clifton Strengths assessment in just about everything we do. And I left the corporate world a little over 2 years ago after over a decade at a Fortune 100 company to start my own coaching practice, which is the reason we even put this all together. Is we wanted to have, or we wanted to share what we wish we had when we started our own coaching practice. And we're excited to talk about that today.
Yeah, I think that was one of we all kind of started talking in Clubhouse and we came over to LinkedIn Live and started sharing our content. We all have the thing in common that we work with clients, but we happen to have a passion for helping coaches because we were one, as you said, Micah. We saw the need, and so today we're going to talk about what we've developed, which is called the Coaching Exchange. And the reason we developed it is because there wasn't a blueprint out there when we were all starting our practices. And it's been really fun to develop this product with the two of you. And we want to talk about some tips that we've learned as we've been developing the Coaching Exchange. And then we're going to talk about what the Coaching Exchange is. And and please feel free to write questions in the chat. We will respond back. Just write them because you're not able to talk verbally on LinkedIn Live. We can't hear your auditory. So please jump in and give us questions that you might have about the Coaching Exchange as we go. But I'm going to kick it off to Micah. And Micah, these are three of areas that we talk about in the Coaching Exchange, which is a 12-week mastermind that we created in February and we launched in March. And under Develop Your Coaching, what was one of the fun things that you enjoyed sharing with the coaches in our mastermind?
Yeah, so from a coaching perspective, if we're talking about best practices from a coaching perspective, I actually really enjoyed the couple of days that we spent on coaching best practices where we kind of went back to the basics. And for people who maybe aren't certified coaches yet or who never intend to get certification as a coach, some of these really fundamental best practices can be some of the most useful things to remember, not just in a coaching relationship with clients, but as a leader and in your own life, in your personal life. I swear I use some of these best practices, coaching best practices in my marriage and with my kids and my parenting. So the three things that especially stuck out to me from those sessions that we did in the mastermind were learning how to listen with curiosity, remembering that things aren't always we make assumptions about what people are saying and what they mean when they say things. And so when we just give people the space to listen, to talk, and we just listen, it helps us understand what's really going on with people better. And that learning how to shut up and just listen to the people around me, the people I coach, my family, and as a leader is a huge best practice that I know people know is important, but can sometimes struggle to implement when you're an expert, when you're an intelligent person and you have things to say and you have opinions. when you're a coach, you don't have opinions. And when you're being a good parent or a good partner, you don't have opinions. You just need to listen and understand what other people are going through. The second thing was asking great questions. This is something that takes a lot of practice, but when you've experienced the power of asking great questions, it becomes a little bit addictive. You want to do it more. And as you're listening actively and listening with curiosity to the people around you or the people that you're coaching, you start to find that those questions come more and more easily because you care about the person you're talking to, and you ask open-ended questions that drive out of them or elicit out of them the genius that's inside them to help them kind of create their own path forward. So that has been something that personally has been a really cool experience for me, is to learn how to ask good questions and the power behind that. And then the last thing that I would say is just to remember that it's not about you when you're coaching. It's good to just be present, to clear your mind. Don't worry about what you're going to say next or what great question you're going to ask next. Resist the urge to relate things back to you, especially when your client is talking about that time they went to Brazil, right, H? And you're like, I've been to Brazil and I want to tell you about it. It's like, no, you don't matter right now. You don't have an opinion as a coach. And these are some of those three things are some of the fundamentals that, like I said, I use in my life every day. And it's those are three of the many things that we talk about in the mastermind, just to help even those who have been through coaching training remember some of those fundamentals that make us better coaches.
And I loved how we got to have each of the coaches or aspiring coaches, or we had a lot of leaders in our group that were thinking about becoming a coach, and they actually got to practice, right? So I love that each week we gave them homework, and then they got to practice one-on-one the week before's homework. So the next week, after that first couple of weeks, they got to practice asking questions and listening attentively.
Absolutely. They practiced with us and with each other.
Yeah, which they seem to really like. And I think that's something you talk about, H, is really the application after the training is the most important, right? And so this isn't one of those where you just get in and you show up. This is, you got to go do some work and work on your business. And that's what we felt like we needed.
Yeah.
So
it's really a tenet of what we do in the mastermind, which is know it, do it, apply it. Right. So
That's right.
Like here is what we've learned. That's the education piece. So they know it. They get to do it, either do it in breakouts and do it in between. And then what we look for is, all right, what else do you need to help you apply it to your everyday coaching practice? So
and hopefully it's a little uncomfortable. We're going to make you a little uncomfortable in the mastermind. That's a good thing. That's a good sign of growth.
That is, and we know when we're doing something uncomfortable, we're growing. So thanks for bringing that up too. Well, H, talk to us about building your brand. What were some of the things or tips that we shared in that section?
And I'll build on what Micah said, right? When I work with brands, so I consult with and facilitate, most of my clients are CPG, consumer packaged goods, and I work a lot with marketers. And what Micah said about listening holds true for your brand. It ain't about you. It's about, you start with your target. And I think one of the things we do at the very beginning is ask the participants in the mastermind, define your business. Who is your target? What do they want? And what do you provide them? And that's an uncomfortable exercise for a lot of people. And throughout the sessions, that's called a value proposition. Throughout the sessions, we're really working with the participants to get them clarity about, let's talk about your target. And let's talk about your target as in terms of their demographic, their psychographic. Let's talk about them as an individual and really get deep in terms of who you're trying to reach from a coaching standpoint and build your business around. And then we talk about what is the coaching that you provide? How do you define it? How do you differentiate it from other coaches? And there's a couple of things that we do, right? We're I always like to say, list all the things that you do or could do, and then let's organize those by what's in the bullseye, right? What is it that is the most important thing you do that you're going to be best at? What are other things in your coaching business that you're going to be, that differentiate you? And then the other things, what is just table stakes? What are the things you do that are good enough? And lastly, which is also important, what's out of scope for your business? In terms of your coaching practice. And then the last thing is, what are the benefits, right? So how do you talk about those things that you do? What's the benefit to your target? And we talk, this starts to bleed into proposals, which we also talk about in Grow Your Business, that you should be able to articulate, here are the objectives I have. So things that my client is going to experience when I'm working with them. And then the outcomes, right? The benefits. What are the things that, because of your experience with me as a coach, here's the things you should be able to do on the job in your life. And so we're really building out that positioning, that story. We call it a value proposition for each of the participants to clearly articulate that, because it becomes the anchor, the core strategy for any messaging that they do. And I think that's a journey. It doesn't, we make people uncomfortable at the beginning and ask them those questions, and then we give them the tools to fine tune that at the end. So it's a formal value proposition that they've got.
Yeah, I was going to say that is one of those times where we made people a little uncomfortable, because you asked that question, well, who's your target audience? And a third of the people are like, I have no idea. Like, where do I start? That's part of what the value of having a group of people to talk this through with is, we'll give you some tips and tricks about how do you start defining your target audience. But that's a really simple but difficult question for people to answer when they're just starting their business.
Yeah. And it starts when like we said, we had several people in corporate that are thinking, okay, this could be my next chapter of my life. How do I start now? What do I do now in my working with as a leader who's coaching, or maybe I'm helping a nonprofit on the side? But so we're giving them the tools. One thing we haven't mentioned, I think is valuable, is that we share different prototypes of what worked for us, and different formats and frameworks, templates, and just to see the aha from the group of, oh my gosh, this is so easy. Whether it was a contract like you were sharing in developing your coaching practice, or a proposal that H shared, or a customer journey map that I shared. It's what is the framework that you can use that can help you simplify and repeat systems, so you're not reinventing the wheel every time you have a new customer.
And the other, I think what's unique about the coaching exchange, there's plenty of other coaching practices. What they'll do is teach you one way how to be a coach and how to develop your business. That's not our approach. Our approach is to say, here are tools, here are different tools that the three of us have used. And you decide what's best and applicable for your business. And I think, we give you access to concrete things that we've used that work for us. I think, to go back to what Micah said, we start with, we want to make you feel uncomfortable, but at the end, we're working so that you feel confident in doing these three things, and developing as a coach, building your brand, and growing your business.
Yeah. And I think what was so exciting for me the last 2 weeks, we're on week 12 right now with the group we have. We're getting ready to launch a new group in June, which will give you more information about that and later in this call. But one of the exciting things for me, and I know for you guys in the last 2 weeks, was having them come back and report that they made a sale. Yeah. Or that they used the proposal platform, or they used one of our frameworks and were able to close this sale. One of the things we talked about in Grow Your Business is networking. And I think there is this myth that you're going to get all your sales off of your social, and you're not. It's going to come from your network. And whether you're in corporate right now and you have a group of people in your network of 200, it's okay. You're going to build your business from your current network. And we talked a lot about that. Each of you have probably 250 people right now in your network, but those people, those 250 people know 250 people. And so being able to create a connection point with each of those people, and that's where the sales are going to come from. And I think that was a big aha for me, that I saw in my business that every single person I sold to in the first 2 years were people I knew. And then just being able to stay with them. Another tip or myth that we busted was, oh, I've got to build this product before I launch my business, or I've got to build this website before I launch my business. We tease H all the time because he doesn't have a website.
He's still
been doing business
for
how many years
in?
Yeah.
12 years in.
But yet
That's
here's the
great.
key, and here's the secret, is he's been building products for the same customers over a period of
Just
time.
adding value.
Yeah. And I think that is one of our keys. Secret keys is don't build product, get the customer, figure out what they need, and bring in the products. Yes, we all work with Clifton Strengths, and we'll talk about that, but we have other tools we use as well. And I think that was a huge benefit to the group, being able to see and hear, and then seeing them be able to connect with each other and talk about other tools. That was also kind of cool to see as we grow your business. So as we think through these three areas, Mike and H, anything else that's on your mind that we didn't mention? We've got about 10 more minutes to go through other things, but I want to make sure, because this is where the meat is. This is where the value comes if you go through our 12-week mastermind.
Well, I was just writing down, I thought maybe it would be useful. We probably should have put this on a slide, but I wondered if it would be useful to share real quick that I wrote down the modules that we went through. And if I just read through them, you can kind of get an idea of what we talked about from beginning to end over the 12 weeks. So we had one live 1 hour session with all three of us most of the time. Sometimes we had people missing just because we had travel for our clients. But over the 12 weeks, we started with mostly on week 1 was introductions, expectations, and an overview of the overall program. That was a really cool one, just because we got to make 15 new friends in our cohort from March. And then number 2, we talked about helpful coaching models and frameworks, and just went through a handful of some simple frameworks that we use for coaching as a business. Number 3 was coaching models and frameworks continued. We didn't get through it in 1 week. We felt like there was a lot of demand from the group to learn more, so we did more frameworks. Same with weeks 4 and 5. We talked about coaching best practices, some of which I just shared a few minutes ago, but we spent 2 weeks on that because people were eating it up. We liked learning how to be better coaches and learn some of those best practices. Week 6 was situational coaching. What kind of, this actually went back to what H was talking about. How do I serve my ideal client? And when you know your ideal client, then your situational coaching might change how you approach coaching different people in different situations, whether it's a leader in an executive setting, or somebody who's going through a job change, or who needs help with their resume, or who wants life coaching specifically. Different situations call for different approaches to coaching. Week 7 was marketing and branding your coaching business. So we got into a lot of business topics starting in week 7. Week 8, we went deep into product development. This was one of my favorites. It seemed like it resonated really well with the group too, getting into product development. Not just am I doing one-on-one coaching, but what other products can I offer, both physical products and maybe some extra services, maybe even some SaaS products, software as a service products that I could be offering. Number 9 was client acquisition, and that was one that we found out that we needed more than 1 week. So we spent 2 weeks, 9 and 10, talking about how do I acquire clients, and how do I sell to them, and how do I create a proposal that converts them into a client. Last week, we spent, in week 11, we talked about building high-performing teams. So how do we apply this in more than just a one-on-one setting, but how do we use this in a business environment where my customer is a whole team, and how do we build a high-performing team? And then next week, we'll wrap up with open-ended Q&A, and we'll conclude with some final thoughts about the mastermind and about building a coaching practice. So I hope that helps, just kind of seeing the beginning to end.
Yeah, I think that is great. And I think one of the things that is important to note is that you surveyed our team throughout. So we kind of did a survey at the beginning. And really built this based on their needs and based on the majority of the needs. So we were constantly testing and learning, which is one of the things we teach is, test and learn, and keep testing, get it right until you get it right. So, so anything else, H, on your mind before we go to the next section? Okay, so what we're going to talk about is what you receive through our coaching services. So you're going to get the frameworks that Micah just talked about. You're going to get this supportive relationship. So you're going to get to be with other coaches one-on-one, which we have a pair and share that we do on a regular basis. But you're also going to be able to come into the community and ask questions throughout the week. So the main kind of theme here is you're not alone. We're here with you and alongside you through the journey. And then we'll help you tackle challenges faster and efficiently by taking action and giving you support. So the mastermind is 12 weeks. It's 1 hour guided sessions. It's going to be on Thursdays starting June 22nd. And we'll do the weekly live coaching as we talked about with the seasoned coaches. And then we'll create this channel that you'll have for connection and community throughout. So that is the product. Now, all these people that we've been working with since March are like, well, we want to stay together. So we've developed a community, and it's for people who've attended the 12-week coaching or seasoned coaches who just want to be a part of a group and just master their coaching. And because we'll talk about what we're going to do in here. And I'd love for Micah and H to talk about all the things we're going to be doing in the community that we've been sharing with the team. So Micah or H, you want to jump in and share?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things that we talked about, and we're still open to getting input, but we feel like we could take the next year and fill it with really great guest speakers, people who have expertise in things like social media or artificial intelligence, and how these could actually support new business owners, coaches that are trying to start their practice from the beginning. And we'll draw from our own network of very experienced coaches with very helpful expertise, and just do a lot of guest posting, or not guest posting, guest speaking, so that the community is learning from these experts that have something to offer. And it's just part of our monthly community meetings.
Yeah. I think the other thing that to me would have been invaluable when I started my practice is to have, we call them office hours. So once a week for an hour, one of us is available to you, that you can just pick up the phone, jump on, our site, and you can chat with us about any particular challenge, opportunity that you have, and get our perspective. So I think that's available as part of joining the community.
And I think that was the other thing, and we've talked about it, but I'm going to bring it up again, is the fact that you get 3 perspectives. So ideally, anybody that wants to come in the coaching community can come in and literally have somebody. If they do the coaching mastermind and they do the community, they could basically be with us Tuesday and Thursday every week. And so we have created a bundle for that. But this community is really about being available. And when we talked to our coaches last week about this, they were so excited because they need that one-on-one, that kind of like, okay, this is what I did this week, and guess what he bought? Now he needs this. Where do I find that?
Now what do I do?
And it's like, okay, here's what we learned. So you're going to get all 3 perspectives, and which is invaluable. I haven't seen that out there in the coaching space.
Yeah. Well, that would have been nice, right?
Yeah. So that's why we created this. Yeah. So, so this is what I was talking about earlier. So you can also look at doing the mastermind and the community, depending on where you are. So you get the 12 hours of guided, sessions. You'll get the weekly live coaching. You'll get the channel and a year's access to the coaching exchange community, and additional months of training. And then the office hours and the support of a community. And the community is king. We know that. We know that people, since COVID, it's important to connect. It's been important for us to connect and share our resources. So we know it's important for you as well. So I would love to see if there's any questions or thoughts as we get to round out our time here, as we talk about the coaching exchange. This was kind of just something that we saw a need, and we said, well, why don't we do this? So we are in the early stages of it. We just, as we said, launched the mastermind in March, and we're almost through with that. We're going to launch another one in June, and then we'll probably have one more in the fall, and then that will be it this year. But the community will be monthly ongoing membership. And we put a QR code up so you can get that and get into the landing page and see all different programs. But we'd love to hear questions or thoughts or ideas or suggestions. You can email, send us a DM on LinkedIn, or just go into the coaching exchange and leave us a question as well.
Yeah.
But any other thoughts, Micah or H, as we get ready to round up our time?
I have a thought. I don't know
if kind of on your mind as you think about the coaching exchange and why we developed it, and what we think is powerful here.
Yeah, I was just thinking, and like Dana said, if anybody that is listening right now live has a question, we've got our eye on the comments, so we can respond here live too if you want to add a question to the comments. But the thing that kept coming to mind just as we've been talking in the last 25 minutes, is how it's been 2 years since I finished my ICF coaching accredited program. And I met just some amazing people in that program that I still keep in touch with, and mostly connected with all of them on LinkedIn. So I get to see their posts and I get to see where they are and how they're doing. And it's sad to me how many of the people that I went through that program with aren't doing coaching anymore. They aren't doing the coaching practice that they originally intended to do. It's why they were getting their certification. Some of them wanted to do it for their companies, and so they're still at those companies, and that's great. But a lot of these people in my cohorts wanted to be coaches full time. They wanted this to be their career, and little by little, I've seen a lot of them posting going back to the corporate world and getting jobs not as coaches again or anymore. And that breaks my heart. Like we have figured out how to make a coaching practice work. And there are some very specific nuances that if you don't know these things, you're running uphill trying to make this work. And we want to flip the script a little bit and help you go downhill and have these tips and tricks so that you're not one of those people that goes out on your own and then ends up having to kind of go crawling back to a corporate job, because it's hard. It is hard to make it work. And I don't mean to downplay what some of my members of my own cohort have had to go through to try to make their businesses work, but it's hard work. And we want to help. I want to see you succeed in ways that a lot of coaches can't or don't make work.
I think one of the reasons I hear that exactly what happened with, you mentioned, Micah, several of my cohorts from Southwest Airlines came and decided to coach, and then all of a sudden they went back. And I think it's taking the action and taking that action and having somebody alongside you to help you through it. And like you said, I think we've all kind of learned. And one of the things that overwhelmed me was just so much out there, and it was so expensive, and there was so many things, and it didn't feel right in my gut. And I think that's one of the things I want to talk about today is the soul of our group. We are more concerned about helping you succeed right now and helping you be your best coach and being transparent and just opening up and saying, here's what we learned. But we are also practicing coaches, consultants. We're not just teachers or just coaches who teach. And I think
this isn't hypothetical.
No,
like we're doing it.
We're practicing it. We're learning it, and we're coming back and going, okay, this is what I learned. And I think that's important in the soul of what the coaching exchange is about.
Yeah, just to build on that, I think even if you're not yet a coach, and by the way, I would even say 80+% of what we talk about applies if you want to be a facilitator, a trainer, a consultant. I think there's a lot that is applicable, certainly in build your brand and grow your business, but also just in the coaching practices. There are things that, I've used in the 20s, in the decades. I'll leave it at that. I've been working on team development and facilitating sessions with clients. I think it's applicable. And I think if you're not sure, that's all the more reason to join the coaching exchange, because we'll give you clarity around that. And you may find, it's worth the investment to find, hey, I may not want to do this.
I think we had at least one person that was the value they got out of it this time.
But I think that's the real, to Dana's point, this is on purpose for us. It's on mission. It aligns with our values, and it's really about giving you clarity. And we talk a lot about this. Give you the confidence to take your business where you want it to go. Absolutely.
So thank you guys so much for joining us. As you can see, great group here. We love working together and in helping other coaches. So stay tuned. Please reach out to us on LinkedIn if you have any questions. We'd love to answer your questions and to share with you what we're learning. And I hope these tips today really helped you as you're trying to make decisions about what you're doing and as you're making an impact in the world. So thank you, Micah. Thank you, H. And thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to hear from you all. All right.
Y'all have a good day.
Yes.